So I will start by saying there is a lot I can say about this, but I will start saying that at the beginning of time, our original ancestors, when they look at the cosmos and at their surroundings with their not knowing minds, and they really had no knowing minds. They knew nothing, literally. So there is no more not knowing mind than that kind of mind that really knows nothing, inside or outside. New surroundings, new planet. It's like if you're put in Mars, how do you survive? But they recognize all that they saw, the cosmos, the stars, the animals, the trees, the snow, the caves, as the benign mother that was taking care of them. The universal mother. The most important point that I want to make about this now, because I will talk about this again later, is that in these first 100,000 years of survival in this planet, we work together in harmony and mutual cooperation, men and women. We had to put all of our resources together to bring forth the human race and to survive. And we did it because we looked at the universe that was benign and a universal mother that contained all masculines and feminine energies. So men and women, we were not separate yet. And because of that, we actually established the foundation of the first civilization on this planet. So after saying that, I want to say also that the sacred feminine was at the very, always has been, at the very root of Zen practice. And when the religion of the mother in Europe was persecuted, and many, many, many villages and people and temples massacred and destroyed, the religion didn't die, but it spread to India, where entered Mahayana Buddhism in the form of Prajnaparamita, also known as Mother of all the Buddhas or Mother of the Universe. But not only it spread to India, it also spread to China. And exerted, the religion of the mother exerted great influence in the birth of Taoism. As Lao Tzu tells us in the Tao Te Ching, we can see that the feminine principle is most important. So I have marked several places to read. From the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu writes, "There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it Tao. When man interferes with Tao, the sky becomes filthy, the earth becomes depleted, the equilibrium crumbles, creatures become extinct." It seems that Lao Tzu was talking about these times that we are living now. And again, more from the Tao Te Ching. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it, It is older than God. The Tao is called the Great Mother, empty yet inexhaustible. It gives words to infinite worlds. So as you know, Taoism is considered the mother of Zen, and Mahayana Buddhism is considered the father of Zen. But as I mentioned before, the mother is in both, in Taoism and in Mahayana Buddhism. Even our 21st ancestor, Vasubandhu, was said to be a devotee of Tara, of the noble lady Tara. And it is said that he entered into the Mahaparinirvana, the great liberation at time of death, reciting Tara's mantra. So Tara, considered a female Buddha, is an evolution of Prajnaparamita. I'm reading from the Zen Priestess and the Snake. Poem Thunder, Complete Mind, found in the Nag Hammadi text dating from about 300 of the Christian era, personifies thunder as a feminine power. According to Elaine Pagels, the poem declares that divine feminine presence, often unseen, shines everywhere in all people, whether they live in palaces or garbage dumps, embracing all that we are. Instead of seeing the divine only in positive attributes like wisdom, holiness, and power, thunder presses us to envision divine energy with our complete mind, even in terms of foolishness, shame, and fear. The following is an excerpt from Thunder, Complete Mind. Why you who hate me, do you love me, and hate those who love me? You who deny me, confess me, and you who confess me, deny me. You who tell the truth about me, lie about me, and you who have lied about me, tell the truth about me. You who know me, be ignorant of me, and those who have not known me, let them know me. I am shame and boldness. I am shameless, I am ashamed. I am strength and I am fear. I am the first and the last. I am the one who is honored and the one scorned. I am the whore and the holy one. I am incomprehensible silence and the voice of many sounds, the word in many forms. I am the utterance of my name. Do not cast anyone out or turn anyone away. I am the one who remains and the one who dissolves. I am she who stills. I am she who exists in all fear and strength in trembling. I am she who cries out. I am cast forth on the face of the earth. And if when you hear this poem, I mean the resemblance with the sutra of the trust in the heart mind that I've seen you chanting in the morning, the residents chanted in the morning. I'm not sure you chanted during retreat, but it's just you see the influence of the mother, and that chant is so palpable in that sutra because it was a Taoist text. Another important question in the interview was, is the sacred feminine for men and women? The Great Mother, Prajnaparamita or Tara, are said to contain in themselves or feminine and masculine energies and give birth to all creatures and to people of all genders. There is nothing that is left outside, nothing. Embraces everything. I heard that there are temples in Japan, which I don't know myself personally, but I heard that first you enter the temple, you go by the shrines of the Buddhas, and often you find that the last shrine, the most secluded shrine, is the shrine of the sacred feminine. The Kanon is the name Japanese of the Great Mother. In China, it appears as Guanyin or Guanyin. And I really couldn't believe my good fortune when this summer I found a quote by Carl Jung from his Complete Works, Volume 2. And he says that the deepest root in the psyche of all humans is the mother of all things. Carl Jung says that. Wow, that was an amazing day for me. And he also adds that we would be in alignment with the truth if we were to embrace the sacred feminine in us, whether we are men or women. And particularly, I tell you that that was the great day for me, but mostly because something that I wrote in the year around the year 2000. From the dimension of blue light, not even 1,000 steel swords can kill me. Free from life and death, my tears make the shining stars, and my laughter the ocean dance. I'm not a Buddha though, but the mother of all things. You know, and I'm amazed that I chose those words specifically. I didn't want to say the mother of all the Buddhas or the mother of the universe. I wanted to say the mother of all things. The mother of all things is everything. It doesn't leave anything outside. And then now I found Jung had the same realization. And he says, she is our deepest mind. She's our deepest heart mind. She's not separate from us at all. She is primal in us. And this is so important because we are going to face challenges of survival again. And now we know how we survive our first challenges. And we know how we can survive the challenges to come. So that was around the year 2000, and I met Roshi Shishin 6 months after that, about 6 months after that. I was in a quest. Because I was in a quest because the Zen master, which had been my teacher for about 3 or 4 years, and when I went so happy to tell him about the experience I had of realizing my nature, my deepest nature as the mother of all things, and I went so happy to tell him, he became angry, and he said I had to forget about that experience. Wow. It's not possible. Not possible. Not possible. So I had to leave. And I thought that I had to, actually he told me, although I still love him a lot, I mean, he was such a great teacher to me up to that point. up to that point, because he said, if you want to be empowered in this tradition, you have to forget about that. But he was also a Christian priest. And I'm not going to go into that now. But the karma that he was carrying was very heavy, you know. So I have a lot of compassion and understanding for him. So that's why I said I went in a quest, because my teacher rejected my experience, but I didn't hesitate for a moment. You know, I just went to my room, packed up all my things, threw them in the back of my truck, and left. There was nothing there for me anymore. But I had to somehow, I had that experience. I needed that experience to be confirmed. And I later on had that experience confirmed by a Tibetan teacher. And it's interesting that no one in our tradition confirmed that realization, and I experienced a lot of rejection until I met Shishin Roshi. And then later I have had a lot of support from my actual lineage, the White Plum. And for you that do not know, I want to read the poem that my Inca transmission teacher wrote in the back of my raksu, and I had no idea that she would write this. Some of you know, but some of you don't know. So for those of you who don't know, she wrote, Ekai Shinko, life after life, birth after birth, may the body of light illumine the great ocean. Never falter. Do not let die the wisdom seed of the great mother, of the Buddhas. Truly, I implore you. Yes, so you know, what motivates me? I think, where was I here? What motivates me in creating Zen of the Sacred Feminine? And you know, what motivates me is the inexhaustible vow of saving all sentient beings. That's what motivates me. What my transmission teacher, my second transmission teacher, my first transmission teacher was Roshi Shishin. My second transmission teacher was the abbot of CC, Zen Center of LA, Roshi Egyoku Nakao. So the words of my transmission teachers really motivates me in passing on this Dharma. And numberless beings are suffering now because of climate change and the inequality of the distribution of riches on this planet. So that motivates me. Where we are at the point of, we don't know if we will survive this or not. You know, I heard that they're putting policies in place that are gonna work on 2050. Really? Are we gonna be here yet? Or how are we gonna be here yet in 2050? And what motivates me is a very clear understanding that the patriarchal civilization that is currently destroying the planet was rooted in the suppression, persecution, and denial of the sacred feminine. That becomes clear to me. I mean, if that's when things started to become down the drain, then it's very clear that we need to pick up where we left. It's so clear. So it's so important that at this time in our planet, we raise consciousness about the sacred feminine, because she is our planet and she is all beings. Our first ancestors were able to survive the extreme challenges they face. But they were able to survive because they conceived the universe as an organic, living, a sacred whole in which humanity and all being were the Great Mother's children. Those were times of peace and cooperation. The first 100,000 years of life in this planet were times of peace and cooperation. So because of that, peace and cooperation are primal qualities in our heart mind, but they might be unconscious like the mother of all things. Echo, can you read the excerpts from 1 and 2?
The goddess tradition appears to exist in its most undiluted practice on the planet today within the ancient tantric lineages of Hinduism and Buddhism, which are being passed on intact even to the present generation. Some observers note that the majority of teachers and advanced practitioners in these ancient traditions are male. This fact does not present any obstacle to the functioning of goddess energy, and the balance is rapidly changing, as the largest movement on the planet today is the women's movement. This change is already evident as a great prominence of modern women in the realm of spiritual practice. From the most simple, basic point of view, for several years during infancy and early childhood, both female and male children relate in essentially the same mode and with the same intensity to the mother love at the core of their daily existence. The one we call father is at first simply mother number 2 with bearded or abrasive face. Every longing is for mother. All sustenance is mother. Even the infant's landscape before and after birth is simply mother. For 9 months, her heartbeat is our rhythm, our primal music. This is the original ground prior to gender differentiation and sharp individualization to which goddess tradition gives us access, not as an infantile regression, but as the fruitful soil of reconciliation, harmony, tenderness without boundary, unitive wisdom, and totality.
Thank you very much. So I want to talk a little bit about the moon. It's something that I found that is very important, very primal also. That the moon was considered one of the supreme images of the sacred feminine, the moon. And our first ancestors learned from the moon that life and death were not opposite. They were not opposite to each other, but just aspects of the mother. That was very important because there was no fear of death, because it was just a return to the benign mother. We also learned from the moon about impermanence and transformation. The waxing moon represented the young woman, the young human. The full moon, the adult, and the waning moon, the old person. And yet the most important moon was the dark phase of the moon, because this represented the time of death, when the person was to return to the dark and luminous mother just to be reborn again as the new human. And then during the dark phase of the moon, our ancestors learned to visualize and imagine. So and also visualization and imagination are primal gifts. During the 3 days of darkness, when the moon cannot be seen and only imagined, we learn to visualize the process of transformation of the moon until it became the new moon. Imagine that you are one of our original ancestors of 100,000 years ago. The dark pitch blackness of the caves must have felt terrifying. The sounds of wild animals getting closer. And then suddenly you see this great disk of white light illuminating the night, giving us a feeling of safety and reassurance in times that we were facing many extreme challenges. If I had been there, I most certainly have made prostrations to the moon as the sphere of benevolence of the Great Mother. The moral code of this time consisted of maintaining the connection and unity with what we felt that was the sacred whole, which was the environment, the cosmos, each person and each animal. Even if we had to hunt in order to survive, we were conscious of making a tear in the fabric of connection with the whole. Our shamans perform rituals and travel into the invisible dimension, to atone to the spirits of the haunted animals, and thus mended the tear in the invisible fabric of interconnection and interdependence of all. And this type of morality existed at least for 30,000 years that we know, maybe more. For 30,000 years, we saw everything as a sacred whole. What had happened? And this state of wholeness started to disappear with the continuous invasion of nomadic warrior tribes. I'm talking about all Europe and nomadic warrior tribes that were coming from the north. This happened around the 3000 before Christ, and then by the middle of the Bronze Age, 2000 to 1250, the myth of the goddess disappeared. It was relegated to the unconscious mind of all humans, and it was replaced by the myth of the warrior hero. So it's still going around. But if you see, it's only 2021. There have been 100,000 years of peace and cooperation. So it's not impossible to turn things around. It's not impossible. It's difficult. So this is very important because the notion of darkness, lifelessness, violence, menace did not arise until the trauma and anarchy of the Bronze Age. So it was very different before. And that way of perceiving the cosmos is still within us. And Zazen is this best way to connect with the mother of all things and with that vision of the cosmos. Zazen. Like Jung says, is in the unconscious mind of all beings. And also Jung said in another occasion that meditation is the royal road to the unconscious mind. So we call it unconscious because it's in the dark. But through Zazen, we develop awareness, and awareness is light. So we bring the light to our unconscious mind. We can see, we can see more, we can see clearly. We can see into the depth of who we really are. So I especially wanted to mention this because of the fact that peace and mutual cooperation are also primal gift of being a human. I just want to read my favorite poem in the Mumonkan that I think I read it a lot. Almost every time I give a talk, I read this poem. And also because I want to tell you that from all the koan books that I have done, really, I find that the Mumonkan to be the most important one. They're all wonderful, but the Mumonkan still carry those Taoist teachings of the Great Mother. So we can feel the Mother in this book. Okay, the poem is, this one is instant. This one instant as it is an infinite number of time. An infinite number of time are at the same time this one instant. If you see into this fact, and this is so beautiful, the true self which is seen has been seen into. Right there is an Enso right there. I put this talk with my handwriting and it's so difficult to follow where I'm going, but yeah, if you look at it, you won't believe it. Let me see something. What is this? No, yes. Not yet. Okay. You know, like I was saying, like I've been using my prayer beads when I sit out there the sofa, and someone thought I was praying to something, and no, I'm not praying to anything. I just been teaching the practices of Tara that actually, you know, these practices were not original from Tibet. It is also illustrated that the Buddha taught these practices as part of the third turning of the Dharma wheel. So Mahayana Buddhism became the second turning of the Dharma wheel. And then he gave, when he was even a lot older, a third turning of the Dharma wheel. And I imagine by then the teachings of the Great Mother had, you know, had been a lot more spread. So it is said that the Buddha taught the Tara practices. And then I read that then these practices became dormant for a while. And then a new Buddha called Padmasambhava brought these practices into Tibet. And then they became very popular in Tibet. But originally they come from the Buddha. And the Buddha said that these practices will be very important in times of crisis. And it's like, what? Wow, we really could see into the future. These practices are so helpful now because we absorb so much negativity. We feel, because we are all connected and everything is interdependent. We feel the anguish of all beings who are in tremendous pain and also becoming extinct. We feel that, and it manifests as anxiety, anguish, negative feelings. So Tara practice are an antidote to that, because the Buddha said that if we add the right view to the practice that we already have, that would really help us in survival times of crisis. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the view of luminous light. So when we visualize a luminous being, we are not praying to that being. They are not separate from us. And when we recite the Tara mantras, we are creating a vibration that helps us, together with the visualization, to wake up those enlightened energies within ourselves. But those energies are already in ourselves. And also Tara is the contemplative activist. She's adorned with the paramitas. Oh my God, her adornments are the paramitas. And then she has one feet in samadhi and the other feet about to jump into the world at the call of anyone. With one hand, with her right hand extended over her right leg, her right knee that is in samadhi. She's an example of generosity. She gives everything away with that extended hand. Her love, her wisdom, her help, her healing, her compassion. Everything she got, she gives it away. But if we want to call her, we have to do it with an open heart. She responds to an open heart. She hears the cries of the heart. And then I want to almost finish with another poem. It's called Sometime I Wonder. It says, sometimes I wonder if Mary breastfed Jesus. And sometimes I wonder if this is all too vulgar to ask in a church full of men without milk stains on their shirt or coconut oil on their breasts. Preaching from pulpit of limits to the Mother of God. But then I think of feeding Jesus, birthing Jesus, the expulsion of blood, the smell of sweat, the salt of a mother's tears onto the soft head of the salt of the earth. Feeling lonely and tired, and I think, if the vulgarity of birth is not honestly preached by men who carry power but not burden, who carry privilege but not labor, who carry authority but not submission, then it should not be preached at all, because the real scandal of the birth of God lies in the cracked nipples of a 14-year-old, and not in the sermons of ministers who say women are too delicate to lead. And I cried a lot this morning when I was practicing the English for that poem. I suddenly cried a lot, and I'm glad I did, because that poem connected me with all those women before me who had no names. The women that sell cakes and tea for the monks in the monasteries. Those women that were not allowed in the monasteries. And they were old and very enlightened women. And they are my ancestors. And now, because I'm teaching the Tara practices and I want to have a lot more background on teachings on visualization, I have become a student of Vajrayana, and I have found a teacher and a lineage with whom I connect a lot, and they had kind of jumped me over the preliminaries of practice because of my Zen practice. So when I sit there with my prayer beads, I'm just in an intricate visualization that goes way to the sky. I mean, it's so intricate. But at the same time, I have to recite some verses in Tibetan that I have to learn in Tibetan. It took me a long time. And these verses rotate in the heart of a Buddha with his consort. So I'm reading this poem as I visualize these Buddhas in perfect union, and this mantra rotates in their heart. And then there is a rain of light that emanates from their heart and their place of sexual union. And all that light enters my body inside and outside. So when you see me there with the prayer beads, I'm not praying to anybody. And I was telling you this because before you start this practice, you have to take refuge in the lineage. And for me, the lineage is that line of women that have no name. And today I feel that we had come here together. I'm not here alone. I'm just the tip of the iceberg of a humongous lineage of women whose names we don't know. But just to you have an idea that in the Middle Age, the women, they inherit the religion of the goddesses, were called witches. And it has been recorded that more than 8 million of women were burned. So imagine how big is our lineage. It's huge. So every day I invoke all those women. And I don't want to make names for them. I mean, now we're going to create names to put over them, over their suffering, so we feel okay. And I just don't want you to misunderstand me, because I love men. You might call me a feminist if you want, but I don't feel like a feminist. I'm just talking about the truth. I love men, and I love men much more now that I know they come from the feminine and they have nipples too. And at the beginning, we were not separate, and we were able to survive because we were together in mind, body, and spirit. So I love men. And yeah, we're so lucky to have wonderful men here that are very realized men. I didn't know this was gonna come out with so much passion and energy. I really didn't know. So I hope I didn't offend anybody. It was almost like making a proclamation after 5,000 years of domination of some men that thought that in order to be men, they had to dominate the planet, dominate the creatures, dominate the women. But some men never bought that. And they suffered too. They suffered too. So I love men. So I think this is the end now. No, it's not. Just a prayer that I made this morning. Just a final dedication. May the sacred feminine be known through the whole planet. May men and women and people of all gender, in harmony, peace, and non-duality, come together to heal our planet for the safety and well-being of all earthlings. Maha Prajna Paramita. Thank you all for listening. For here there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today.